Hello, awesome human. It is Ros Loxton, and I am here to talk you through month 5 of my best self journal. I love this month. We are working our way up through the spine. It's the chakra system in our spiritual and in our energetic bodies. And so, with that, and where it aligns to in this particular journal, it is month 5. If you started in January, it would be May. I did not start this set of video recordings in January, so it's actually July at the moment, but we are in month 5. So I'm going to read you out the theme of month 5. It's really important. It's really timely. The things that we're going through as a human race, the things that you will be experiencing as an individual in a collective. This is an extremely timely part of our evolution and what you're going through at the moment. So I'll let you know the theme of month 5. It is, so the instruction is tap back in to what are your grandest intentions for starting My Best Self Journal. At the beginning of the My Best Self Journal, there'll be a question there. It's like, what are my intentions for doing this journal? What is it that I really want to achieve within myself? What do I want to wake up inside myself? What would I like to unlearn and release from within inside myself, so that I can start to experience this world and myself in this world in a different way? There's all sorts of reasons that would be you're feeling at this time, why the universe is inspiring us, and the way that inspiration comes alive inside you is slightly different to the way it comes alive inside of me. So being your best self requires noticing yourself with a neutral perspective, with an inquisitive curiosity, understanding characteristics about yourself that you had never previously observed, especially not with any sense of grounded, really still conscious awareness, and certainly not without the sense of judgment around it. So understanding characteristics about yourself that you had never previously really observed, even though they are influencing your life quite considerably. This month, focus and reflect on how you express, how you emit into the world. What is your glow? What do people feel? What do people see because you are in that space? And so this month, focus and reflect, right, curiously on how you are expressing into the world and project, and how you transmit yourself. If you were a tree, what would that tree look like? What would it be like? If you were a body of water, what would that body of water look like? Taking into consideration how you feel about yourself now. And what are you capable of if you actually really, in your bones, committed to it? Because we do commit to things unconsciously, and sometimes they're not really healthy for us. Sometimes they're not really our best work and not our best self driven. So, that's another subject. Reflecting on, notice what you're committed to. Oh my goodness, I could really go down a rabbit hole here, but in the spirit of keeping this succinct and not too long, I won't go into the stories that would explain how you can be committed to things and not really realize it, and be committed to things that are actually really unhealthy for your longevity, for your anti-aging, for your best health and wellness and happiness, and the way that you give back and what you bring, to the earth and to society, what you're committed to. So how do you lead? This is our expression chakra. Let's say this is our communication, our throat chakra area. And it really does speak to many parts of how we express, and our leadership is a part of that. So this is what we show to people. This is what emits into the world. This is you with the lights come on, and it's what comes out when the lights turn on. And so you're a leader, whether you have been ever labeled that or you operate in your career as that. You are a leader. First and foremost, you will lead yourself. Okay, it's really true. How are you leading yourself? What is your sense of leadership to yourself? How much do you inspire yourself? How much do you, how committed are you to leading yourself in a way that helps you to constantly up level, to constantly bring out your best and to feel your best and to bring your best? What is your level of leadership with yourself and how you lead yourself? How do you lead your kids? How do you lead your team or your business or your company if leadership is a part of your your work and vocation? What is your area of vocation versus what are your actual natural strengths? Okay. And some of us won't really be that cognizant of what our natural strengths are, or we won't let ourselves lean into them. We won't necessarily let ourselves reflect on and notice that, hey, that's a natural strength, of mine, and I'm not doing anything with it. Maybe I'm just naturally creative. Maybe I sketch really easily and I'm naturally creative, but I do not really bring that into my world in any way. When I'm doing something over here, in my vocation or in my career, which is maybe slightly outside of where my natural strengths lie. And some people are right in the pocket of their natural strengths in their vocation, and they thrive, and they're really good at holding that space because it's in their natural strengths. This actually speaks to another technology that I'm so committed to bringing into my work as a therapist and a healer and a harmony keeper, an internal harmony keeper, is the human design. So if you haven't done it before, jump onto my website, rosalindloxton.com.au, and click on the free human design chart and check out your human design, because this is kind of like a look behind the scenes at what's driving you and how come you do this and you don't do that. How can you think and feel this? How come you're triggered by that? All of those, that internal coding is described through this human design. Fantastic. So what is your area of vocation versus what are your actual natural strengths? If you are aligned to in the human design, you will have a natural genius that you won't even notice because it just comes naturally to you, and you kind of just think, doesn't everybody do this? Doesn't everybody know this? But no, that's your thing, right? That's your strength, and you just take it for granted. And you might find other people call you out for it. They go, oh, you do that thing where you're really good at organizing wardrobes and making everything line up properly, or you're really good at organizing, and you never really thought about that, that's actually a skill of yours. And but you notice people call you out for it, So that's just a little bit info about Align 2 in a human design chart. What you create and how you like to create is something that we are looking at in MUB5. What is it that you like to create? And how do you like to create it? How do you transmit or express with your words or with your art, with your actual voice, with your silence, with how you dress, with your attire? Notice the archetypes that you naturally embody. And by archetype, I mean, there is a lot of information out there. You can Google archetypes, and there are 12 sort of major themed archetypes, like the mother or the parent. There's even the prostitute, which, as an archetype, you can go, okay, that's how I relate to, a prostitute. But in relationship with the archetype of a prostitute, it's something where you will give yourself away in order to get paid, in order to get money. And so that could be anything from, I'm going and doing this work that I absolutely hate, it's soul destroying, but I just need to get money, so I'm just going to prostitute myself out a bit here. Doesn't necessarily mean you're doing it with sex. So that's just an archetype. I'm being very motherly at the moment in this space, so you're embodying the mother archetype. So have a look at all the different archetypes that you naturally embody. This is about learning ourselves. This is about getting better at being who we are, so we can bring ourselves to the world in our best self type of way, that we can unlock technologies and wisdoms that are in ourselves that maybe just kind of dormant, pushed down, worked around. This is this whole theme, and the juiciness of month 5 encapsulates all the parts of us, but how we bring it into the world. How do we shine it out into the world in all the ways? And the little saying here is self, just at the bottom there's usually little quotes dotted through here and there through the Best Self Journal. And this month the little quote is, self-observation is not just looking, it's really seeing. And really seeing is an instrument of self-change, a means of awakening from living hypnotized into living fully awake to your otherwise dormant potentials. The things that are waiting inside your entire chakra system, and they're all departments. I see it as your chakra system is like, a Westfield in a way, and they all have different departments. And so the department of expression is where we're up to. But within all of those departments, they all, there's like a lift, and they're all talking to each other. It's going up and down, up and down. Actually, it's kind of going like this. And there can be blocks to those messages getting through, which is why we talk about, blocks and shadow work. And the whole purpose of this journal is making it an extremely accessible, affordable way of going, who the hell actually am I, and why am I in this world? What am I doing here? What's the purpose of me, and how do I wake up all of the wisdoms that are here for me to wake up in this kind of strange incarnation that we are as humans in this beautiful planet of mysteries, to be honest. So the first prompt, so we turn the page, there's always a doodle page to start with and a little quote or a saying down there. So if you're somebody that needs to sort of sketch to let yourself get thinking, then there's that little doodle page. But week 1 prompt for month 5. Okay, this week focus and reflect on your relationship with anxiety. So anxiety is a word that we might all use slightly differently, and we all do have different relationships with anxiety. My generation sort of came through with anxiety wasn't, in the foreground. We didn't talk about anxiety. We didn't say, I've got anxiety or I've got an anxiety disorder. It just, that language wasn't awake and really active yet. And now I notice people who are quite young, like my niece, who's 30 years younger than me, anxiety is a very awake word in our system. And what it means to me and what it feels like in my system compared to what it feels like in your system, and how you respond to anxiety, and why does anxiety wake up? We all have these different relationships with it, but it's becoming almost like a pandemic or an epidemic in our society, this anxiety piece. And it's real. I'm certainly not downplaying it, but as we are evolving and as each generation's coming through, what relationship we have with anxiety is changing, and definitely not for the better. So let's have a look at, for you, okay, where are you at? What is your relationship in all the ways with anxiety? And we ask this question because we care about waking up your wisdoms, so that everything you are serves your greatest good and serves your greatest purpose, because that serves the world's greatest good and the world's greatest purpose. So when does your internal system know that it's time to initiate your anxiety hormones? When does it know? What says, okay, time to press the anxiety button? How does your system know? What's the signal? What's the trigger? What is it that makes it go, okay, it's time to do this now, and why? What is the purpose and the function of anxiety for you, within you? What would need to change to reduce your anxiety triggers into a more healthy volume? Because anxiety can be healthy. You know, it can make us, it can be a little bit of a driver, a little bit of some fuel, you know, in our sense of movement to make us go towards something. In order to avoid something bad, the anxiety will go, well, I need to quickly do something. But we don't want anxiety to flood us and to keep flooding us and to keep staying there, because the initial purpose of its intention gets lost, and it turns into something negative, you know, as opposed to something actually positive. So what might it take if you're someone who suffers with anxiety, or anxiety plays maybe not the healthiest role in your life? What would it take? What would it take? Just put the question out there into the ether. Don't put it up here into the, you know, into the bottleneck of thinking. Don't put it there. Put it out into the ether, or up, right? Put it up, out into the universe. What would it take to change my negative relationship with anxiety into a positive relationship with anxiety? What would it actually take? And wait for the insights to drop. Okay, and that might be in a dream. It might be something you hear on the radio. But once you put it out into the ether, without, you see, I'm saying don't put it up into your head where there's already assumptions and judgments. Put it out into the universe. What would it actually take to reduce my propensity to be negatively charged with anxiety? What would it take to make my relationship with anxiety be a healthy one? What would it actually take? And leave the question out there as if an answer is going to come back to you. It's not going to be me overthinking it or you overthinking it. It's going to plop in a way that just seems like, oh, where did that come from? So I invite you to try that with all of these prompts. What would it actually take? And don't leave it for your brain. Put it out into the universe, and then just expect the answer to turn on somehow in some of your wisdom body, either by something you hear on the radio, like I said, in a dream, something you read in a book. And then it's like, when I ask in that way, when I put the question out to the universe and say, what would it take to make this become that? I don't want to have to overthink it. I know you've got the answer, and I'm open to that answer. And then just wait, and it will arrive to you when it's meant to. Then once you've done that journaling, the second part of that journal prompt is about, how do I make this a grounded journal prompt? How do I make this applied? Not just words that I'll forget about tomorrow. How do I embody and drink in the learning and make it become a part of who I am? So that's always the purpose of the second part of the question, is how do I ground, embody, and apply the insights and breakthroughs that happen from the first part of the journal prompt. So the second part is, what would happen differently for me if I knew my intentions are perfect? My intentions are perfect, even if my outcomes are not. And if I knew that I actually could handle whatever the future holds, I can handle it. Now, this is where my medicine comes in, is in my whole human design chart, in my whole astrology chart. My purpose really is about holding the harmony, holding, yes, I'm a Libran, so there's a balance piece, but balance often doesn't create harmony, because once we're in balance, the next part of it is to become imbalanced. So that's okay. How do I hold harmony within me, like an inner peace, even though there's no balance, even though there's chaos happening, you know, in my relationship, in my own mind, in my job, in the world, in my family, there's some sort of chaos. How do I hold my own inner harmony despite that? So that is my bag, you know, as a mindset coach, as a emotional clearer, a life coach, counselor, all the different trainings that I've done. I really do thrive in the piece of what does it take for me to have that inner harmony despite this crazy world. So that is the prompt for month 5, week 1's prompt. And I look forward to each week bringing you week 2, week 3, and week 4 prompt for this level, our 5th chakra, our communication chakra, our expression chakra, because that obviously speaks to all the other parts of, you know, all the other department stores within us. If you have any questions, insights, breakthroughs, concerns, anything, please reach out to me. Either just a private message, leave a post on this page, and I will certainly come back to you as soon as I can. Until next week, beautiful humans, I wish you big encouragement and big love for your best self and your best life. And something I forgot, I'd just like to remind people that there is this journal as well, which is the facilitator's version. So if you want to hold a circle group, a small group, or a large group, where you're holding space for a group, whether it's a women's group or a mixed group or whatever, a group of humans that you want to support, this is a 12-month journal. Doesn't matter what month of the year you start. And as the facilitator of that circle group or that mastermind group, everybody get themselves a copy of this, including you. But as the facilitator, there's also this sort of lilac-y, purpley, mauvey color journal that helps to prompt you how to hold the space, you know, each month for your meetings that you would have, whether it's together face to face or whether it's something that you do, you know, via Zoom or online somehow. So that is the facilitator's journal for the My Best Self journal. So I hope that you have got some great insights from today's journal prompt, and I will see you next week. Goodbye, beautiful humans.